guys, welcome back to Jet Coding. And today's session, we have a simple problem to tackle. Okay, and before we go ahead with this problem, there is a few things that I want to highlight. Some array method that I want to introduce to you, and other things that I will be introducing to you. Okay, so this is basic, simple app that we wanted to build, a quiz app that we wanted to use JavaScript to build, right? So this is going to be a very good exercise for us as a newbies to JavaScript, right? So in order to solve this problem, there's a few steps. So let's just highlight the few steps that we wanted to, which is I'm going to introduce you to a while loop, another loop that we've not even tackled before. Okay. Then we can go ahead and try if. I think we've already introduced ourselves to if statements. So maybe I'll highlight it again, then random, which is going to help us to automatically generate some numbers. And then yeah, then another one which is going to be mass.floor, which I'll surely explain myself, which is going to be very, very simple. Then the last one will be another method called include. Okay, this is include. All right, so we'll go through them one by one, starting from the loop. Okay, a while loop. Okay, while loop is going to be very simple. While this, we want you to do something. Okay, so we can start this by starting our almighty magic keyword var of anything. So let's say var box. Okay, one. Let's give it a variable box of one, which holds a value of one. Okay, we can as well give another one a var of box two, right? Box two, which will hold a value of two. Just simple variable. Okay, so we have our simple variable over here. So we wanted to use the while loop to check something. All right, while something, we want to check something. So we start with the keyword while. Okay, then we have a block of code. Okay, so in between this parenthesis is where the condition starts. So we can start by saying box two. Okay, greater than box one. Okay, so look at the statement. Is box two greater than box one? If it is true, we want you to do something. So let's have a simple console.log, right? Okay, and it's a loop, so I'm trying to, let's put George over here. By the way, George is behind me, and anytime he can just ask any question for us, so he's behind me, right? Then let's break it because it's a loop. I don't want it to. Okay, so let's see how this will work. Let me stop it and rerun it. So we see we have George down there. Okay, so while this condition is true, we want you to print George for us, and that is what is happening. So we'll be needing while loop, okay, in solving this problem. Okay, so why don't we change this to 3? Let's see. Nothing happens. Did not give you anything because, of course, box 2 is not greater than box 1. Or rather, box 1 is greater than box 2. So the condition is what? False. If it is false, nothing will happen. All right. So that is basic explanation that I can give you from here. Okay. So let's try with the if also. Let's see. We've already tackled if statements, but anyway, we can still tackle this. So let's go down here and see what we can do with the if statement, right? So we start with the keyword if, the same way, open and close, right? So there should be a condition, but every if statement, of course, we can still have your else. So let's see if we can have the else here, right? So let's see box, we still have the variable up there. So don't forget, is box 2 greater than box 1? Okay. If it is true, we want you to do something. So let's try and just console.log. Okay, .log, console.log something. So let's log my name, William, else console.log George. All right. Understand? So if statement is pretty simple, right? Okay, George. So let's see we have George because box 2 is not greater than box 1. So of course it's going to print George. But let's assume I change this one to, let's say, higher value of, let's say, 4. Of course, my name will come because my name is greater than what? George's name, right? So that's basically that's what it is. Box 2 greater than box 1. Of course, box 2 is 3. And box 1. So box 2 is 4. And box 1 is what? 3. So 4 is greater than 3. That's what is happening. 4 is greater than what? 3. That is why my name comes up, right? So I hope the if statement 2 is very simple, and we'll be needing that in solving this problem, right? Okay. So why don't I comment it so that we can go ahead. So the next thing will be what? Mass.run. Okay. So let's see what we have in this method. It's an array method. Okay. Mass.run is not an array method. It's an inbuilt function for JavaScript, which gives us a range of numbers starting from 0 to a lower number, which is less than what? 1. Okay. A number which is less than what? 1. So let's see what we have in that. So we can at least call that. So we can say mass dot what? Random. Okay, so this will give us a random number starting from 0. Anytime the function runs, it gives you a range of numbers. It just gives you one particular number from a range of 0 which to a less than 1, right? So we can just rerun the program and we see the number keep changing, right? The number keep changing. The number can keep changing. So we'll be needing this function, okay, in helping us to generate a certain amount of numbers, okay, and help us to use that number. I think I'll show you in action. I think I have to show you this in action. So this is what we are getting, but there's extra thing that we're supposed to do. What is the 0 to what? Is generating this 0 to less than 1 number, but we want to generate a number from 0 to 10. Okay, something like that. Let's say we want to generate a number from 0 to 10. All what you have to do is to multiply it by what? 10. Okay, so if you multiply it by 10 to give you a range from 0 to 9, okay, it will not give you the exact 10. Remember, it always gives you 0 to less than 1. It doesn't give you 1. So if you want to add 1, then you have to do something. So now we are getting 0 to what? 9. Okay, so if you want exact number, which is 10, just need to add 1 to 8, and you have what? 0 to 10. Okay, so this will give us a range from 0 to 10. You see, so it gives you what? 1. Let's see what. Now we have 10, exactly what we want. So we see we have 10 point something. Okay. Okay, so what of this number behind it? We need to clear it. We don't need it. Okay, because we want to generate a whole number from 0, 1, 2, 3 up to what? 10 that we want, or what? Up to any number that we want. So we don't need the fraction. Okay, the floating number behind, we don't need it. So how do we kill it? We kill it by using what? Mass.floor. So we floor it. Okay, we're going to use mass.hot floor, okay, to kill it. So once we copy this, okay, or let's cut it and slot it in there, then we're going to generate what? 1 to 10. Then we will generate what? 1 to 10. So now we have our perfect number. You see, we have 8. We have we have 3. You see, anytime the function runs, okay, anytime the function runs, we have something. Okay, so you see how it is. So perfectly, we are generating numbers from 0 to what? 10. All right. Okay. So our next thing will be the include. Okay, so let's see what we have in include. Include is an array method. Okay, include is an array method. So what are we going to do? Let's say we have an array of, let's say, var, which is, let's give an array. Array is just a list. Let me use a list so that let's say a list. Okay, which is equals to what? You bring your square brackets, then let's see 1, 2, 3, and 4, and 5. Let's make it 6 and 7. Let's see what happens. Okay, so we have this array method. Let me comment this so that you will not be confused. All right, good. So we have this array. Okay, so how do we use include? Include means you want to check if there's a value that exists in this list. Okay, so how do we do this? You can just come down here and say what? Give me that list. Okay, Okay, dot what include is that list dot include. So you see the trick, include one. If it is so, it will give you true, you see, but there's one in the list. That's why it gives you true. So it returns true or false. It returns a Boolean, right? So let's say if we have 7 inside the list, yes, we have 7, but we have 8, so it gives you false. So include will check if the value that you just passed to the include already exists in the list, then it will give you true. Otherwise, it will just give you false. So you see 1 is there, true, 2 is there, which is true. But when you put 9, 9 is not there because there's no 9 in this list, right? So that is include in action. I hope this makes sense. Okay, now there's another 2 method that I want to introduce to you, which is also an array method. I want to list it down here. We call one pop and we call one push. We need these 2 in solving this algorithm, all right? So how do we deal with pop? Let's see how the pop will work. So I'm going to use the same array up here, okay? So now let's say we have this array of list. Okay, let's see how the pop work. So bring the list, okay? Dot what? Pop. Let's see what happens. So we are popping what? A 7 out. That means we are taking the last, okay, item from the list, okay? So why don't we console.log the list again down here? Okay, so console.log of the list, okay? And you see that the list comes with what, without what? 7. For 7 is already what? Pop. So we've already cut 7 from the list. So we have up to 6. That's why we have 1 to 6, right? So that's the pop in action. Let's say we add, let's say 8. Okay, you see we have 7, but we don't have 8 because 8 is pop. So always pop will take the last item from the list. When you use pop on any array, it takes the last item from the list. I hope this makes sense. So now that we know how to use the pop, we can comment the pop, okay? So we can have our full list. Then let's see what we can do with the push, okay? So push, let's get the list again. So we have the list dot push. Okay, what are we pushing? That means we want to add object to it. So let's try and push something like 9. Okay, and let's go down there and just console.log of list. Let's see what we have in the list. You see? So when you check the list, we have what? 1, 2, 3, up to what? 9. But original list, we don't have 9, right? But down here, once we push 9, 9 becomes part of it, and it will be putting at the end of the whole list. So why don't you put 10? Let's see what happens. You see, now we have 10 over there. So push will add a new element, a new item onto the list. And then pop will take one item from the list. That is from the end of the list. So this is the push and pop action, okay, in this array method. So I hope this makes a lot of sense. And we're going to use all of this in solving this problem, right? Okay. So now that we've learned all these methods, I think we can just go ahead and tackle the problem for the day, which is solving this quiz. So I'm going to clean the thing. Let me clean. I'll clean everything, but I'll be needing this real quick so that the lesson will not be that much. It should not take us that long, right? So let me drop this one here. Whilst I clean everywhere. Okay. Okay, so let me take off this. Take off this. Okay, and take off this. All right. So now let's see how we can solve this problem. Basic quiz app. Okay, so let's take it this way. Let's say we want to build an app, okay? And this will have, let's say, hundreds of questions, okay? But of course, we all know that if you enter any quiz app or if you try to use any quiz app or any quiz site, okay, they have a lot of questions, okay? And these questions that they have, they only want to select let's say few of them, let's say 10 of them. Let's say we have 10 questions, we want to select 5 questions for me as a user to solve, okay? Another person will come there, and they will select only 5 questions for the person to solve, okay? So each user will be having a specific questions separately from each other, okay, which is going to be 5, 5, 5 out of the 10 questions, right? Okay, in order to solve this problem, you can clearly see that it's very possible that my question 1, okay, can also be my question 5, which ideally it shouldn't be so. So we need to build this up in such a way that the program is supposed to select a unique set of questions for me without duplicate. You understand? So if they give me question 1 and I finish question 1 and I go to question 2, my next question, which is question 3, shouldn't come out. The question 1 and question 2 shouldn't come again. I hope I'm making sense in this scenario that I'm giving, that every question is supposed to be unique and we don't need to repeat any question for a user, right? So this is what we are going to do. We're going to combine all these methods and all these techniques and include things to build a very simple and basic quiz app for you, right? Okay, so how do we start? We start by using our almighty. Okay, why don't we get the questions first? First of all, let's get the questions, right? So down here, let me comment this real quick. And then down here, let's start our question. Let's start with our keyword. Let's call it questions, right? Questions. Because the question is going to be an array, of course. Our question is going to be array. So let's start putting the questions, which is going to be what? Q1 is a question 1. Okay. Then we have Q2, which is going to be question 2. Right. Then we have what? Q3. Q3. Okay. Let's try and have up to only 10 questions, right? Q4. Okay. And we have Q5. Okay. Then we have Q6. All right. We have Q7. All right. We have Q8. All right. And we have Q9 and the almighty Q, right? 10, right? So we have our straight 10 questions over here, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So we have our 10 questions over here. All right. So our next thing we have to do is to have let's say a set of questions, right? This one is the whole question that we have, 10 questions, but we're supposed to select 5 questions for each user, right? So we're supposed to create another variable or another container which is going to hold that 5 out of this thing, right? I hope you understand the technique. Okay, you'll see that in action right now. Okay, so our next thing is going to be what? Let's have another variable, right? Another variable. Come on, I can type. Another variable with a set of questions, right? Let's call it, let's give a variable name of set questions, right? Questions, right? Which is going to be equal to another array, right? But this time the array is going to be empty. We will automatically select questions from here and slot it inside this array, right? Okay, so now that we have our set questions variable ready, which is an array, now we can start by using what our while loop, right? So while something, okay, we want you to do something. So this is the block of code for our while loop, okay? So what's going to be the condition in the while loop? What do we want to do? So we need to put a condition over here, okay? So the condition is going to be like, we want you to go through this box. If this box has items which is lesser than 5, because we want to select 5 questions, then keep adding some questions over there. That's all. So we can have this set of box or this set of question here and set if the length, okay? So we're checking for the length, right? So we can set dot length. Remember this dot length, we've already tackled this, is greater. Okay, if it's less than, sorry, if it's less than 5 questions, then we want you to do something. So I hope it makes sense. The condition makes sense. Check for me if this list, okay, the length of it is less than 5, then do something else, you do something else. I hope it makes sense. I hope it makes sense. Yeah. So now that we have this, I want us to generate our random number. Okay. Also from here. So let's cut this guy. Okay. And inside the while loop, we want to get this. But this time we don't want to use this 10. Okay. We don't want this, but we want to use the length. Okay. We want to use this length so that at least we can loop through all. We don't want to skip some. So this question 10 could be someone's question 1. And this question could be someone's question 2, right? So that's exactly what we're going to do. So we don't need to do this manually, but instead we can pick the length from there. So we can still bring the question down here. Get me the whole length of this. Okay, so we can multiply this by this dot what? The same thing, length. Okay, so now that we've multiplied this by length, that means we know that we are generating a number from 0 to what? To 10, or 0 to 10, exactly, to the length of this. Okay, but if you said 0 to 10, of course, that means we all know that we're going to use an index. Okay, so if you're generating 0 to 10, that means this one will be 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. You see, we have 9. So what do? We still have to subtract 1 from this, so that at least we can get exactly what we want. So we can generate from 0 to what? 9, which is also 10. 0 to 9 is 10 because 0 will be counted as a number which will be equal to 10 straight up, right? Okay, I hope this is very tricky, but it is what it is. You take it like that and you understand later if you keep practicing, okay? Okay, so our next step is going to be, we need to check. We still need to check. So we're going to use our if statement to check if something, okay, do something else. So let's try and bring the else here. Else, another thing, okay? So what are we going to check? We need to check something, okay? So now we need to check, okay? We need to check this box. If this box has any question that comes from this mass.run, by the way, let's put this one in a variable and call it what? A var, which is equal to, let's say, random question, right? Is it a good name? Yes, random. Random. Okay, let's make it number. Okay. Okay. So I don't know if you understand what I'm trying to do here. Okay, we're putting this in a variable called random number. Okay. Okay. It makes sense, right? So we have our random number here. Okay. So we are generating a number. We're generating a number and we're putting them in a variable. So there's nothing. Okay. So let's check now. We're going to check. Okay. We're going to check this set of questions. If there's a question include, then we do something. If it is not there, we do another thing, right? So let's copy this container and slot it here and said, if our set of question, okay, dot, okay, include, okay, dot include, okay. What are we including? What are we checking? Check it very well. If set of question dot include, okay, this, okay, dot include our question, okay, which is an array of this random number, okay. If this is true, check it very well. So we are checking if this contains a question from here. If it is not there, then we will do something. If it is there, then we do another thing. I hope this makes sense. Okay, so we are checking if it is there. Okay, if it is not there, we do something. So let's check first. Okay, if it is there, we want to take it off. So we come down here and set this, okay, array. Sorry, this array dot what? Pop. Don't forget that we're using pop to do what? To take it off. So check if it is there, take it off. You understand? So this one is checking. If this question, okay, contain a question picking from here randomly, you are selecting a question from this pool randomly. If it is already there, you want to use this method to delete it from the end. Okay. Else, if it is not there, then we copy the same thing, but this time it's going to be what? Push, sorry. We're going to push it. Push. Then it's an array, so we pick what? The random number again. And push it there. Boom. This is how it's supposed to be. Right. So let me explain before we check. Okay. So check if the question include. If the question is already here, we want to use this function to delete it. If it is not there, then we want to put it back. We want to slot it. We want to add it to it. So we go to the same container and use this function, which is the push. And then we go to the question and the index. We use the index to push the question back to this selected set questions. I hope it makes sense, but a little bit trickish, right? So you just need to practice them and study the code very well, and you understand. So when we check it, okay, it gives you straight 10. All right. So we need to generate from 0 to that number. And we can see that we have 0, we have question 3, question 4, question 5, question 2, question 6, without duplicate. Other than that, if we don't use this include to check, we can generate the numbers, we can generate the questions, but we might have question 3, question 3, question 5, and another question again. So this one will just give us a unique question, 5 set of questions uniquely from our questions. So I hope this makes a lot of sense. So anytime someone goes to the site and run, we have set of questions, you see. So we have separate questions, which is what? Question 6, question 10, question 4, question 5, question 3. They are unique. There's no duplicate. So this is what we are trying to achieve by using this, methods and functions and all these arrays. So I hope, guys, this makes a lot of sense, and I hope you have learned a lot from this. You just need to practice. You just need to practice and practice to get what you want. So look at it again. Let's run it and see one more time. Boom. Have 4, 3, 2, 8, 5. You see, we can do for the last time. You see, we have 6, 8, 2, 4, 1. So there's no way we're going to generate a duplicate question out of this. So every question is very unique for every user. I hope this makes a lot of sense, guys. Here comes to the end of our tutorial, and we will see you again next time. Bye-bye.